He was not recognizable, except for one thing.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Josh Blackwell. And this is Edie Prescott, a British woman who lived in Germany during World War II. Listen to her story of growing up in Hamburg amidst the war. During Hitler's occupation of Germany, brutal action was taken against those who didn't agree with his policies. Despite this, several underground operations were formed.
I do remember my father being very angry with my mother one time. My father was always a very gentle man and never gets angry or something, but this time he did get angry, and I often wondered, why did he get that angry? He didn't want her to go to this place with those people. He said, even if you don't care about me, he said, think how dangerous it is for your children. He said, for you to go to these meetings. A neighbor of ours came, and she was crying. She was upset because she said the authorities had taken her son, who had gone to these meetings, and she said, I think she said he's been tortured because she went to the hospital because she was told to go. They were telling her that he was dying from some kind of a disease. She was told, yes, you can go and kiss him goodbye. And when she bent over him, he pulled down his shirt front and showed her that no, he was not dying he had been tortured. And once or twice she would get home very late and very frustrated and had been running to stop being caught, and this is why I wonder, that's why the brown shirts came to our house.
Edie, her mother, and her sister, Violet, lived in a small apartment building in Hamburg, Germany. Eventually, her mother's British heritage and involvement in anti-Nazi gatherings led to a raid on their apartment. The brown shirts, also known as the Gestapo, were a secret Nazi police force commonly sent to arrest traitors to the Nazi regime.
And we lived in Hamburg in a big apartment building, and somebody was banging on the door saying, "Aufmachen, aufmachen," means open the door, open. My mother was there, and she told Violet, who was about 15, she said, well, you can unlock the door, but don't take the chain off the door. And she put me in her arms, and I was a toddler, so I stood there beside Violet. Now, the apartment building only has one door, and that was the one they were banging on. I don't know what happened to my mother. I never did see where she went, but she couldn't have gotten out of the apartment. So there must have been a window in the back that she went out the window, or maybe there was a fire escape. I don't know. But they did crash the door open. They came marching in. These were the brown shirts, and with their swastika on their arms and so on. The door opens into a hallway. To the right of the hallway was my sister's room, but prior to that there was a bathroom. And one of the brown shirts, he opened the door and he put his hand in there looking in the water tank and kept on saying something, he said, "Wo ist die Fahne? Wo ist die Fahne?" Which means, where is the flag? Where's the flag? The others came in and they rampaged the whole apartment. They tore everything apart. They took the mattress off the beds. And finally, they didn't find anything. I didn't see anything. And all it was is My sister was in tears and I was crying. I didn't know what was going on. and then they finally left.
In World War II, opposing sides would bomb enemy cities in an attempt to completely crush the enemy. In Germany, when planes were spotted, a raid alarm would sound, instructing all citizens to move to designated bomb shelters. Citizens would then leave their homes and move to the nearest shelter, and there they would wait alongside dozens of other people for the raid to end.
This one occasion, the last occasion that we went back to Hamburg, the bombing started again, and my mother and I, we never completely undressed, but my sister always did. She was working, she would come home and put my pajamas on type of thing, and where my mother and I never did do that, not during that time. But anyway, we made it out of the apartment building, and we were running, and my sister said, "Go, go, go." She said, I can run faster than you, so don't wait for me, go. And she was getting dressed, and we were running down the street. And I remember one looking, it was like daylight because there's so many fires burning and so many explosions everywhere. And we made it to the train station, has this big bomb shelter. Every train station had a bomb shelter. The one we were in actually did get struck by a bomb by 3 times. And all the electricity turned off, and I can remember and people were screaming, and it was pitch black. And I remember thinking, so this is what it feels like to die. But then the emergency lights came back on, and I could, and the screaming stopped, and the bombs did not penetrate the building; it just shook it. And then we did see somebody else come into the doorway. He was all black and bleeding, and my mother recognized him. He was the neighbor. And then he said, "It's all gone, all gone." And my mother said, "What? Have you seen Violet? Have you seen Violet?" And he said, "No, it's all gone." He said, "It's all gone." And of course then the all clear sounded. The bombing had stopped, and we went out. And yes, the apartment building was gone. I can remember looking and seeing where our steps were and so on, looked like a parking space. There's nothing there. It was all in a big pile of rubbish. And of course now my mother was searching, and the authorities, there were the firefighters was around, and my mother obviously asked, have they found any bodies, or have they taken anybody, or where did they go with the wounded? Did they take them to the hospital? And there was one body lying down there, and the firefighter asked my mother, he said, "Do you want to see this?" He said, "Perhaps you can recognize who this was." And they didn't want to show me, but I did see it too. He was not recognizable, except for one thing. He had white hair, and he always wore a helmet, and the helmet was right there on the side of him. So his whole body was burnt. The helmet had fallen, had apparently prevented him from burning completely up there. But we never did find my sister.
Shortly after the bombing of their apartment, Edie and her mother moved into the countryside. There, city immigrants are not respected. In episode 2, Edie tells about her struggles to find food, friendly and hostile interactions with escaped prisoners of war, and interactions with Allied troops as they marched for the town.